Mike Bohn joined now by George Mangos, who defends his HEX featherweight championship on Saturday. George, man, fight week, how are we doing?
I'm feeling good, Mike. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been a smooth camp and fight week. I'm feeling great.
Yeah, man. And to kind of go and defending your belt and everything, 5 round fight, like these are the foundational pieces of what is going to make your career, right? Like, how do you kind of survey a fight like this in your growth process?
Yeah, it's every fight you have is becomes your most important fight. The next fight you got to win. You need to keep the momentum rolling, keep the ball rolling. I've been on a good win streak, so yeah, it's a very important fight as always. But I'm looking forward to defending my belt another for the third time consecutively. It's my fourth title fight in a row. Yeah, against only the best in Australia. So I'm just gonna go out there and do what I always do. I'm gonna put on a show and find the finish. And yeah, it's only inevitable that the UFC will be soon.
Yeah, and you don't see too many guys this early in their career, like you said, another title defense to be scheduled for these 5 round fights. I know they don't all go that far, but how invaluable are these training camps as you kind of start building your experience?
Yeah, good. I'm glad that I got to make the most of the regional scene. I mean, like you said, none of them have gone to the full 5 rounds, but
Mhm.
it's good that I got 4 camps in a row, getting preparing for them. So eventually down the line, I'm obviously aspiring to be a UFC champion. So when the time comes, it's not going to be unfamiliar territory. I'm going to have prepared for 25 minutes 4 times before, and yeah, it's a great experience. I mean, I am looking forward to getting signed by it and going back to 3 rounds. So, but it'll come in due time.
Yeah, like you said, due time, you're still very young. You're doing everything the right way. How this camp and the timing of this fight lined up, obviously the UFC was just in Sydney a few weeks ago. Was there like part of it in the back of your mind, like this works out great if something happens and they fall out? I'm already in camp. I'm scheduled to fight a few weeks later. Was that something you were thinking about and your team was discussing at all?
Yeah, most definitely. We started this camp probably a little bit earlier just because of that, just in case something popped up for the Sydney, but it didn't come to fruition. Colby got his call up against Tuporia's brother, but yeah, nothing at featherweight popped up for me. So it is what it is. Everyone's journey to the UFC is different, so I'm sure mine will happen sometime this year, especially with another dominant win this weekend.
Yeah, what is kind of the thinking on timeline? I mean, I think I saw an interview you did last year where we were talking about contender series and stuff like that. Is that kind of what you think might happen if you get the win here? That starts up mid to late summer, or do you think maybe you get another fight in, or hold out hope for a direct signing? What do you feel like the kind of the path forward is?
Oh, it looks like that's where the UFC like putting people like myself, like up and coming prospects, most like undefeated people, and younger fighters. They'll put them through the contender series. So I'm guessing that's how I'm gonna get into the UFC. Look, I wouldn't mind getting directly signed, but I say chances are I'm gonna go through there, which I can't complain with. I'm looking forward to making my international debut overseas and fighting in Vegas in the Apex. So whichever way it comes, I'll be ready. But most likely, I think it'll be a contender series.
Yeah, makes total sense. You're still only 21, so got all the time in the world, right? For people who don't know, what was kind of your path into the sport and how you got into mixed martial arts?
Yeah, look, I started when I was training MMA when I was 8 years old. Not to be a fighter or anything. My parents just put me in there, and obviously wanted me to be able to defend myself. And it's just a good sport to learn jiu-jitsu discipline. And then yeah, I mean, I was naturally pretty good at it. It made me easy and eager to train and go to training. It wasn't a chore for my parents to get me to training. And one thing led to another. Started to get pretty good at it. I did a few jiu-jitsu competitions, and then yeah, when I was 15, my coach just told me one day he's booked me an MMA fight. So I was pretty scared, but I was more scared to say no to my coach. So I just went with it, and then here we are. I guess it just one thing led to another. We just kept moving, kept winning, kept training hard, and now we're here.
The UFC pre-COVID used to go to Australia, with a lot more frequency, right? And that was kind of around the time you're referencing there. Did you have any moments where you like went to a live event and something clicked, or did you not have many of those opportunities during those kind of formative years?
No, not really. I mean, when I first started, I didn't really even know what the UFC was. I just, went to training, and then I remember the first fight I watched was Rob Whittaker versus Derek Brunson.
Mm.
That's when I first was introduced, because obviously Rob was I was training at the same gym as him at the time, and he was starting to make his run in the UFC, and people at the gym were talking about him, making his way to the title, maybe fighting Bisping, who was a champ at the time. So I was like, all right, let me give this a watch. And then yeah, I mean, I watched it, I enjoyed it, but I still had never thought I wanted to like do that as a career. Um, but yeah, I guess it just happened.
Yeah, I mean that's a more natural way than to see it and just be like, oh, I want this fame or this whatever that's on
Yeah.
TV. It seems like it was a very genuine kind of entry into the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy it went like that. I mean, I don't know. I never really wanted it because of that. I think I'm just super competitive, and I just like going out there and testing myself.
Hmm. And I mean, do you feel like, given that we can obviously consider you one of these next generation guys who learns the entire sport as a whole
Mm,
from the bat, as opposed to coming in off this background or that background, who you kind of
mm.
felt that you've been able to work on the complete games and stay one, and that's what is going to make you such a great fighter?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, like I'm able to pick at people's weaknesses because I'm all rounded, and I can also beat people at their strengths. Like I've submitted jiu-jitsu guys. I've dropped golden gloves boxes. Like I can do it all. So that's my biggest that's the upper hand that I got on a lot of people is I know I'm young, but where people could think that I'm inexperienced, but really I've been training for 13 years and I'm all rounded everywhere. So I think that's definitely what's going to separate me from the rest.
Mhm. How do you deal with, I guess, like the expectations and the pressure, right? Like your manager, Tim Simpson, who's one of my favorite people in the sport, he kind of
Mm,
reached out being like, yeah, I'd love for you to speak to George. He's got a lot of potential. I told fellow members of my staff we were speaking, and a couple of them like really dig into the prospect side of the sport. And they're like, this guy, future contender. So it seems like everyone around who sees you like thinks you have a very promising future. How do you
mhm,
not let that, I guess, become like a distraction or
mm.
change your mentality on what you're supposed to do?
I love that. I love that pressure. That's what I thrive off. So the more people that talk about me, whether it's good or bad, I mean, it's mostly good now. Like what you're saying, people saying that I'm gonna, do good things and be a contender, and I'm an up and coming prospect. I love to hear that, and it's in the back of my mind. I got to prove everyone right. I got to prove myself right, and yeah, that's where I perform best when the most pressure is on me.
Yeah. And what do you make of this matchup with Ethan Thomas? Do you feel like he brings something to the table that you haven't really seen before as far as like a look? Is there kind of goals within this fight that you're setting for yourself of what you want to do? How would you kind of break things down going into this weekend?
Yeah, Ethan's very dangerous. He hasn't fought for a year, but he's a national wrestling champion, very good wrestler. He made the ADCC trials. He won the Oceanic region and made the world tournament. So yeah, he's a skilled jiu-jitsu black belt. He's a heavy wrestler. So his game plan is no secret. He's gonna try to take me down. He's gonna try ground and pound and submit me. But it's nothing I haven't faced before. I've fought heavy wrestlers. I've fought jiu-jitsu black belts. The last guy that I head kick knocked out was a jiu-jitsu black belt. So I mean, it's not a jiu-jitsu match. It's not a wrestling match. It's an MMA fight, and I'm the best MMA fighter in the country. So I'm just gonna go out there and do what I do best, and I'm gonna find the finish as always.
Love it. And just last couple of things here. We mentioned the pressure and you embracing that. If the Dana White's Contender Series call does come after that, we know it's a very pressure heavy situation, right? Like
Mm.
you can go in there and you could be the better fighter, but if you don't perform exactly the way Dana's looking for or whatever, like you might not get signed. If that opportunity does come your way, what kind of mindset do you take into that, I guess, audition, as you could describe it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. But yeah, it is high pressure. Even like how it's so quiet in there, no walkout music. It's very intense. Well, that's how it feels watching it on a screen. But um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think that's like I said before. That's the type of occasions I rise to, and I perform best. I think in the situation when it comes to it, I'm gonna put on the best performance I've ever had. So I've been dreaming about moments like that for many years now, and when the time comes to it, it's gonna feel familiar. I've visualized it many times, and yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna get the job done. And Dana's gonna he's make sure I'm gonna make him standing, clapping, and give me a UFC contract.
Love it, man. Okay, last thing before I let you go here. Really looking forward to this fight. Do you have a perfect scenario on how you end this one?
Yeah, look, I've been feeling sharp this camp, man. I've been saying like I've had a lot of camps, especially the last I think 2 or 3. Like most of my title fights, I've been either sick or injured and haven't been 100%. But this one, I'm ready to go. All cylinders are firing, and yeah, I'm gonna get him out of there inside 2 rounds. I've got another knockout coming for sure, And that's what the UFC want to see. They want to see finishes. And that's what I want to do in the UFC. I want that bonus money. So I'm gonna be getting all my practice on the regional scene, and then when I'm in the UFC, I'm gonna do the same thing.
For sure, man. All right, George, I really appreciate the time. Looking forward to this fight. And I have a feeling this interview is going to age quite well as the years go on. So hopefully this is the first of many, many over a long and decorated career that you have, man. But first thing first, on Saturday, best of luck with this title defense.
Thank you very much. Yeah, most definitely will age very well.
All right. Appreciate it, brother. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.